Well, hey everybody, what's up? Pastor Matt here. Sorry about the low quality video today. Wasn't able to get into the office studio, as it were, this afternoon. But you guys are used to checking into this channel on Friday afternoon, so I felt compelled to try to get a video up anyways. So here I am sitting in my living room. This brings back memories, doesn't it? This brings back memories from COVID-19. 2 weeks to slow the spread, they told us. And then it went on and on and on. And we did a bunch of videos from here during COVID-19, the pandemic, when we were all at home office, all that kind of stuff. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that today. We have something very, very exciting to talk about. And I wanted to get this out there just as soon as I possibly could. Some good news. You're going to hear this. You're going to hear more of this on this channel. Well, let me just go ahead and break the news. We are going to plant a church. That's right. Gospel Fellowship PCA, my congregation. We just released to our congregation a strategic plan for the next 5 years called the Advanced Strategic Plan. Now, obviously, anybody who made a 2020 vision plan had that totally blown out of the water because, you know, what good are the predictions of men, right? I mean, here we are trying to make strategic plans for our businesses or our churches or whatever. And then something like a pandemic comes along and ruins everything. But nevertheless, it is something responsible and I think a matter of good stewardship for us to think ahead to what we can and ought to do together. And recently I've been inspired by the Apostle Paul, especially in Acts chapter 14, where he is committed to the cause of church planting, that is planting Bible preaching, Christ exalting churches all over the known world. And in Acts chapter 14, they nearly stone him to death in the city of Lystra, and yet he goes on to not only to go on to the next town and continue preaching the gospel, but if you look at the geography carefully, he goes back through Lystra, the very town that nearly stoned him to death, so that they can install elders everywhere they go. And so church planting is the major thrust of New Testament evangelism. They did not do crusade events in the Colosseums. They did not do, I don't know, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. Church planting. That's the way they got the gospel out to the world. I don't mean to denigrate any other forms of evangelism. I definitely don't want to do that. But church planting does seem to be the thrust of how New Testament evangelism takes place. And so as part of our advanced strategic plan, Gospel Fellowship PCA, that's my church, the church that I pastor. We're about 20 minutes north of Pittsburgh. We have identified a particular area in our community that's growing absolutely crazy, like bonkers lately, and we want to get the gospel out where people are going. So let me frame this up for you. So we're Presbyterian, right? Which means that we're part of a presbytery. A presbytery is a regional gathering of churches that are like-minded, same denomination in the PCA. Our presbytery is called the Presbytery of the Ascension in Western Pennsylvania. There's 16 or so churches in our presbytery, give or take, if I'm not mistaken. And together we do all kinds of things, all kinds of projects. And my church, Gospel Fellowship PCA, we want to be a part of what Ascension Presbytery is doing. So in Ascension Presbytery, we have a committee called the Evangelism or Missions Committee. And one of their responsibilities is church planting. And so as a cooperative project, Gospel Fellowship PCA with Ascension Presbytery, we are trying to get a church planted in our immediate vicinity. And it just so happens that our local church is going to be the closest church to the area that we're trying to plant a new congregation, which means we have a very strategic role in the operations that are to come, Lord willing. Now, I alluded to this earlier, but the second human beings make plans, they are already subject to the sovereignty of God. So absolutely nothing is going to take place if God's hand isn't in it. We know that. James tells us, right, doesn't he, in chapter 4, that we ought not to go to this city or that city and say we're going to go here or there or carry business on for a year. But we should say, if the Lord wills, we will do this thing or that thing. Same too with the Lord's Prayer. We pray, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And then we pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. And so we want his kingdom to come in the way that his will would be done. But we want to be part of that. And so in our advanced strategic plan as a local church, we want to be a part, not just a part, not a spectator, but a leading role, an advocate for this church planting project that we're going to carry out. So let me tell you a little bit about it, because I do think you, the viewer, are going to get involved here with me in some ways. First of all, big picture, the city of Pittsburgh is growing like crazy. Pittsburgh is doing well. You've heard of rumors of the Rust Belt cities, some of the Rust Belt cities, that they're all dying out because steel has been exported to China or wherever. Okay, be that as it may, Pittsburgh has reinvented itself as a center for technology and medicine. Young people are coming from all over to get started in Pittsburgh with companies, upstarts, hospitals, tech pursuits, all kinds of things. And as a response to Pittsburgh's health as a city, people are coming in and the suburbs are filling up like crazy. So we happen to be close to a major suburb of Pittsburgh called Cranberry. Now, 20 years ago, you could have driven through Cranberry, lickety split, but now there are developments absolutely everywhere. In fact, from our church, you can drive 2 miles and you will come to at least 3 developments, 2 of which there are going to be 120 houses built within. I mean, we'll be the closest church to those 120 new houses. So we have every reason to believe that God is going to continue to grow Gospel Fellowship, especially as we remain faithful to the evangel, the gospel of Jesus Christ. We believe God is going to bless us. And not only that, but Cranberry is growing like crazy. Now, there are already a bunch of church plants in Cranberry. However, as the suburbs continue to press north from Pittsburgh to Cranberry, there's an area in which it looks, every indication, humanly speaking, every indication is that they're going to build more and more developments and homes. And so we want to get a distinctly Reformed, Bible-believing, Christ-preaching witness, a church planted in that area as people fill up the northern part of Cranberry. So here's where I think you can get involved in helping us with this project. First of all, we are looking for 250 people to join us in prayer. We wrote out a strategic plan for the church plant. It's 36 pages. One of those pages is a covenant to pray. And we're looking for people who will covenant with us, agreeing to pray, asking the Lord to bless and to further and to grow this particular congregation. So would you like to be one of those 250 prayer warriors? If so, what I'm going to do is, well, let's see, how can I do this? I'm going to attach to this video in the description the covenant to prayer. And I'm going to ask you to think about praying for us. That's all. Just pray. And if you're willing to do that, we're looking for 250 people to pray with us. Now, there's a second request that I have that's goes a little bit further. Do you know anybody that is north of Pittsburgh? And in particular, do you know anybody that is in the northern part of Cranberry? If so, we would love for you to put them in contact with us. We're going to build a website for this project. It's going to be called Cranberry North for the moment. That's just a placeholder name until the church chooses its own name. But nevertheless, we're looking for contacts. If you know anybody remotely close to the Cranberry area, north of Pittsburgh, please share this video with them. We would love to have them become part of our contact base. We're building a database of people that we can reach out to that we think would be interested in a distinctly Reformed Westminster Confession of Faith. No lights, no lasers, no fog machines, no nonsense or stunts, none of that stuff. We're not going to do that kind of a church plant, but a serious Reformed, Bible-preaching, Christ-exalting church plant in Cranberry. If you're looking for something like that, please send us any contact information. You can email me those contacts. I'd be glad to personally reach out to them, to invite them. We're going to try to get started in September of this year. So September 15th, we're going to host an informational meeting. September 22nd, we're going to begin regular Bible studies north of Cranberry to get this church plant rolling. Okay, so we're looking for prayer partners and we're looking for contacts. Third thing we're looking for 50 people that are going to join us in this. We want to get 50 boots on the ground, 100 boots on the ground, 50 people, assuming they each have 2 legs, to meet us for Bible studies this fall. Do you think you might be one of those people? If so, come on, let's do this. Let's get a church started. Let's get a church planted, up and rolling. Either you or somebody that you know, we want to talk to you about that, but we're looking for 50 people to be on our contact list that will join us this fall for an in-person Bible study. It's going to be Wednesday nights, and we're going to try as soon as we're able to turn that then into Lord's Day worship, but we're not going to promise it's going to happen right away. It's going to take a little bit of building, a little bit of momentum. in a little bit of time. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Now, here's another request. We're looking for 12 churches that will support us financially in this project. Now, there's 16 churches in the Presbytery of the Ascension, and so we are hoping and trusting that our brothers in our own denomination and our own presbytery will fill up those 12 churches. It doesn't have to be limited to 12 churches, but at least 12 churches we want to be praying regularly for this concept and to support us with at least $1 a year in their budget. Basically, we want a place in your budget for next year because we're going to have to hire a church planter. And that brings me to my next request. We're looking for a church planter. Maybe that's you. Maybe that's somebody you know. Maybe that's somebody in seminary right now that watches my channel. I have a lot of seminary students that check in with me every Friday afternoon for whatever it is I'm talking about. And if you're out there and you're thinking about being a church planter, how does a burgeoning community north of Pittsburgh sound to you as an operation base to get started? Maybe you're experienced and you've already planted churches before. You know exactly what you're doing and you know how to get it done. If so, we'd love to talk to you about that. All right. Final thing I'll say is simply, of course, we're looking for financial supporters to join us in this too, and that could be any one of you out there, individuals, households, couples, families, churches, whatever else. We would love for you to join us financially. I'm going to post in the description of this video a couple of locations that you could mail any contributions. Now, you know I don't ask for money on this channel. Have I ever even asked for anything before? Maybe buy my books, but other than that, you know, I don't do that here, and I'm not going to start. But it is going to cost money to plant a church, and perhaps you might join us in this adventure if you feel inclined to do what we do here. If you like our ministry and you like the way we do it, no lights, no lasers, no stunts, then hey, maybe you might be a financial supporter for this. So the two places I'm going to ask you to consider contributing are not to me. I'd never do that. That'd be weird. But one, you can give to Ascension Presbytery directly. Our presbytery of the PCA, Ascension Presbytery, has an account for church planting and our missions budget and operation. And I'll post a snail mail address where you can send a check to help us get started with this. Or you can send it to Gospel Fellowship PCA. That'd be the other reliable source. You could send it to our church and you could designate it to the church plant as you would with a check either to Ascension Presbytery or to Gospel Fellowship. Make sure to designate it for what it's for though, which would be church planting. Make that clear if you want to give. And you don't have to. I hate to even talk about money. It's not my favorite thing, but it is a reality. Anyways, we are super, super duper pumped. Where are we going to meet? Well, we're going to meet at a church. We have a church, a friend of mine who's a pastor. Their church is in Cranberry. It's not as far north as we want to get. We want to actually press further north. But we're going to meet at Crossroads Church, which is just north of 228 and just east of 79. So if any of that sounds familiar, that's where we're going to meet on Wednesday nights. It's going to be 6:30, and hey, if you're within the sound of my voice and within the distance of a short drive, come join us September, Wednesday nights at this project, Cranberry North, a church planting venture from Ascension Presbytery and Gospel Fellowship PCA. Okay? If you have questions about this, or if you know somebody, hit me up with an email. Again, my email address is in the About section on my YouTube channel. Just click on my page, then go to About, scroll down, figure out my email address. It's not hard. You can figure it out. It's right there. Email me contacts. Love to talk to people in the northern area of Cranberry. Okay, that's it. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for checking in. Do love you lots, and we'll talk to you later.